Right, just let's have a little look at Bitcoin together, shall we? I've got about an hour before my daughter wakes up from her nap, so we'll see what's going on with the Bitcoin price, and we'll have a look at some of these other coins as they move, because as we are now becoming more aware, a really squeaky chair here, we're becoming more aware, ever so slowly, that Bitcoin dominance is slowly retracing along with its price, and this should give us some opportunity for altcoins. So there's a few things we need to spot. Ooh, what's going on here? There's a few things we need to spot. One of those being who's falling faster than others, and where they're where their supports are, how their satoshis are faring up in comparison to Bitcoin, and also how the how Bitcoin's responding to its own problems. So, without further ado, let's get back into it then, shall we? So, we had these supports in here. We're floating between the moving averages. What are we on the hourly chart? Bouncing on these moving averages, quite a big support actually here, taking place. Much bigger than I expected. Finding rejection at these moving averages here, which is kind of what I expected to see. I think if we do make a move above here and we do break above here, probably going to get rejected within this blue box, which was supposed to have held for our previous level of support. Probably going to break down after that. The indicators and the hourly are all sloping downwards, and actually what we're looking at now is, other than a rejection here, we're getting all these moving averages facing downwards, apart from the 50-day close, which is just leveling out. In fact, it's just had a little tick there, a little move to the up, ever so slightly. But this is the problem that I've got, and this is the problem that a lot of people are going to have. The 200 EMA is, even though it's still moving up, its trajectory is still up. It's going to start, if we continue with this downtrend, it's going to start to bend down. And this is probably one of the most important indicators of general trend. And if this trend here reverses, then it would suggest that our trend in general is going to reverse, and that this will stop becoming it will be less of a pullback and more of a reversal of trend. And that is going to be one of the main problems that people are going to face on this. Personally, I'm out of this. I'm looking to perhaps maybe buy back around 8,500, but that also depends on a lot of other things, a lot of other indicators. And at the moment, all indicators suggest movement to the down. So if you've got money invested now, it depends. I'm not a financial advisor. I can't really tell you what to do with your money. I sold at around 12,000 weeks ago, waiting for a pullback like this to happen. I thought it was going to happen around here. I thought it was going to continue to come down from here, but it didn't. It bounced, but I didn't buy it back. I waited, because I saw a lot of these indicators basically suggesting that these moves are short term, but long term is going to perhaps come down. A lot of this, I mean, this is what you could consider to be a parabolic move. And when we get a parabolic move, you also get retracement, and you get retracement of at least 35%, which we didn't really get to start with around here. We got to around 30%, but then we found a bounce, and now we're really finding a retracement. Now parabolic tops could easily pull back as far as 85%. I think with Bitcoin we might be looking at we could be looking at 60 to 65% pullback. Oh yeah, look, you're right to do whatever it is that you're doing, mate. All I'm saying is that it's going to come down before it goes back up. Now, the good thing is when we look at all these indicators, okay, so we'll just have a look at a couple of brief ones, okay? So we've got lower lows forming on the RSI here, which suggests bearish divergence. We're coming down. We've got very slopey, steep descent on the MACD, which is coming down. But if we go to the weekly is about to come down, to be honest with you. Let's look at the monthly then. And the monthly, well, actually, it doesn't have it, actually. All it says is that we're coming down, and after a parabolic move like the one we had, expect 65%, I would say, before we start to move up again. Look at the state of the alts at the moment, okay? The alts are really suffering, okay? Alts are a bit of an indicator as to what's going to happen with Bitcoin in the longer term. A lot of these alts, and I'm talking big alts like Ethereum, Litecoin, they're almost getting to 50% retracement now from their most recent high. That's a big deal. But 50% retracement in the crypto industry is, I wouldn't say it's normal, but it's not unexpected after a move like this. This move, and to be honest with you, much of this momentum here, much of this shouldn't have happened this early. Around about where we are now, around June, July, we should have just been reaching and perhaps poking above the 6,000. That's what I say that's what should have happened. That if we wanted to be healthy and a healthy growth, that's what should have happened. But it didn't, and fair enough, for a lot of people, they took a lot of money. But in order for it to continue like this, I mean, that would be impossible. The general idea, the general consensus is that Bitcoin is likely to become, within 3 years' time, $100,000 to maybe $150,000. So for it to do that, the market cap has to move into the trillions for Bitcoin, and then it's going to have a lot of money involved with all the other alts. So there's going to be multiple trillions, which is a phenomenal amount of money. I mean, there's only so much money in the world, and if all this money starts going into Bitcoin now and alts now, by the time this cycle's finished, there'll be no money left in the world. It'll all be in crypto, and whether that might be good for your bank account, it probably wouldn't be good for your currency, as it would have devalued it. You know, the dollar, the pound, the euro, the everything. The more money that goes into crypto, the less money is in fiat, and the less money in fiat, the less that's circulating. That basically means devalued currency. So you've got to be careful what you wish for, really. Well, yeah, I mean, pump and dump. I don't know how long you've been doing this for, but I've not been doing it for too long. Only since, well, been doing it on and off since 2016. I got seriously into it 2017 and 2018. I'd sold everything; it had all gone. So I've only just got back into it from April. But I do trades. I have been trading other things like commodities, oil, and especially the dollar with the pound, the cable. So I'm not new to trading in general, but crypto, I'm not like an old schooler. I've only been doing it for about 4 years. But what I would say is that when it comes to trading crypto, it's too easy to become greedy, and because you're doing it on exchanges and there's no leverage, it's safer because you never lose out completely. If you were trading, with CFD trading platforms, or you could stand to lose everything to a zero. It's not your money; you're borrowing money to leverage with, so you have to have a certain amount there to compensate for any losses. And if you don't have enough money to compensate your losses, you lose your position, you lose all the money that went in. So exchanges are safer in that respect, especially in a market like now where even though we're having huge pullbacks in this area, massive pullbacks, your money is still going to be yours. It might be worth a lot less, but it's still, you don't lose it to a zero. and the chances of it recovering from here is almost certain. I mean, anything's possible, but we are in a bull market. You know, the bull market is taking place, even though we're having huge pullbacks, and we're likely to be pulling back. I believe, you know, maybe down to 7,200 or thereabouts. 7,000s, I think we're going to be coming down to. And if that area breaks, then yeah, we could be coming back to where we started, around 4,000. Surprise! As crazy as that sounds, it is possible. It's not likely, but it's possible. I think if it's your first time, you've come in at the right time. Even if you bought up here at the top, you've still come in at the right time, because the chances of it recovering this year is relatively high. So you just need to sit on your money if that's what you're planning on doing. I don't know what area you bought at, and if you're losing out at the moment or if you're still in profit. I don't know. But me personally, you know, what I try to do is I try to plan exactly my entry point. Having no positions on is actually a good place to be. You can be as patient as you like and wait for things to take place, and only when you feel it's you've been shown signals to make a move can you can put your trades in. Is actually one of the strongest positions you can have is having no positions. It sounds a bit silly, but it gives you that opportunity, and opportunity is basically 50% of trading. You've got to wait for the best opportunity. And even though we've got lots of red candles here and huge pullbacks across the board, that basically opens opportunity. And I enjoy seeing red candles as much as I enjoy seeing green ones, because it's opening up the opportunity. Yeah, that's fine. Do you know what? I started trading crypto with only $200 worth. This was back in. I had $200 in Bitcoin of it, and $300 that I was trading with on other platforms, and I managed to grow them all to $5,000, and then I actually managed to grow all of that to around $350,000 at the end of beginning of 2018. I sold everything, and that's how much I made, and that was from $500 altogether. Now a lot of that was luck. The $300 I was trading before, it was when oil was coming down in price massively, so I shorted oil all the way from 60 all the way down to $20. I made about £1,500 on that, and the rest I bought in Bitcoin when Bitcoin was around £170 a Bitcoin. So I bought a few of those, and then I basically sold those, traded it all in for Ripple. When Ripple was about 3 cents, and then I sold Ripple when it was around. It was just under. It had gone under $3. So you don't need much to start with. You do need a bit of luck sometimes, which is definitely what I had. But you don't need much to trade with if you catch things at the right moment. And we're early on at the moment. This is all tragic at the moment. You know, if you're losing money, obviously it's tragic. But we are still very early on in the game. And there's a good chance that if you bought at the top here, I'm not saying you did, but let's just say you bought right at the top here, around 14,000. Whatever you bought there is a very good chance that in a few years you will have 10 times your money, even at this area here. Sounds crazy, but it's true. It's true. And then you know, look at these other coins. I mean, one of the coins that I traded quite a lot in. I like to trade with these IEO coins, but they're suffering hugely now. I have half of my portfolio would be in Bitcoin, 30% would be in alts, and then the other 20% I leave as Tether. Just in case something happens that I want to catch, and I would have to be very, very sure of it to use that reserve Tether. and it would be for a quick pump and dump situation. So I generally have 70% of all my money trading at one time, generally speaking, and 20% left over for a situation that may or may not ever happen. It's everyone's got their own way of trading, basically, and that's the way I do it. I don't use leverage or anything on it. I only use exchanges now, because I just kind of do it, for fun, really. Now I made a relatively decent amount of money before, and I still have a job. I mean, I'm just having a day off today, and my toddler, she's having a nap now, so I can have a little look at this, do this little live stream, have a little look at the situation in the markets until she wakes up, and then that's it. But yeah, I mean, I was very lucky with all my trades before, and I'm looking to find sort of decent situations like I did last time with Ripple. And one of the ones that I've chosen to look at very closely is Matic. And Matic did a 10x. It's retraced about 70% now. But Matic is one of those coins that has the potential to really take off in a big way. So I pay a lot of attention to Matic. If you subscribe to my channel, you probably get daily updates on Matic and where it's going. And to be honest with you, it's going nowhere but down at the moment, as is everything else. But that is one of those coins that I think could do 100x from where it is right now. It's trading at around just 1.2 cents, and I think it's reasonable to assume that it'd be worth $1 in about within 3 years. So that's 100x just from buying something and leaving it there. And that's just basically based on its use case, the fact that it could be applied to many apps within the Ethereum blockchain, and only at that point will it start to gain in its value. It's also proof of stake, and proof of stake is kind of an incentive for people to hold these coins, gain interest on those coins. That's one of the coins I believe is likely to do well. Any proof of stake coin holds its value in a bull market. It has more greens than it will do with reds. The only problem with Matic is that it's not implemented that yet. It's an early coin in its infancy, so this is why I keep a very close eye on it to see how far it's falling. In fact, let's have a little look at it now, shall we? We'll have a little peep at Matic now. There's two things really that I look at with Matic. One's on the Bitcoin pairing, obviously the Tether pairing. So we'll look at the Bitcoin pairing. And the Bitcoin pairing is the most interesting one, and it's the one that you should look at with all altcoins at the moment, because we're looking for all altcoins to reach a bottom. And when they reach their bottom, then you could say that, okay, well, an alt season may begin soon. There's also Bitcoin dominance, which is huge at the moment, but it's starting to retrace a little bit. And because of that retracement, that is what sparks off an alt season. And generally the rule is that the strong get to move first, and you could look at Matic in two ways. It's certainly very new, so it would be foolish to suggest it's strong. Especially because, well, first of all, it's new. Secondly, most of its technology isn't really being implemented at the moment. It's just at the starter gate at the moment. It's not even left to begin its race to the top. But when you zoom out, you have to bear in mind where it came from. It came from all the way down here at 49 satoshis. It went all the way up here to 570 satoshis. And then it's retraced. This is what we expect to see after a parabolic top. We expect a retracement of, I would say, between 65 to sometimes as much as 95% of where it started from. And it's actually holding up quite well in that respect. So the first thing we look at is where did it bottom, and what was its bottom Satoshi value? Its bottom Satoshi value was, I think, let me just double check, about 114 Satoshis. Which at this point is, you wouldn't call it strong, but you wouldn't call it weak either. This is an unnatural move, largely FOMO, definitely, mass manipulation, whatever it is. But the nature of the nature of exchanges and trading is manipulation. The more money someone puts into a project, the more tokens you buy, the bigger the green candle would be. So if I was a whale and I've decided I wanted to buy Matic, this is the sort of thing that would happen. Other people join the bandwagon, and then I sell at the top and cause a huge collapse. Then everybody starts to sell theirs as well, and you end up with a chart just like this. This is what happened at the end of the bull market with Bitcoin. It went up and then retraced about 85% until we started to see it pick up around February, March. That's all normal, perfectly normal. So when you look at Matic, it's I wouldn't say it was weak, I wouldn't say it's strong. I'd say it's actually doing exactly what you would expect it to do after a parabolic top. Now, why did it do a move like this? Your guess is as good as mine. It's a company that doesn't actually do anything. It definitely didn't do anything at this point. They hadn't even released an alpha mainnet. They released an alpha mainnet around here, and you can see a pump and a dump, because an alpha mainnet isn't a mainnet, and it doesn't actually provide anyone really with much at all, apart from a template for what it is they're looking to do in the future. And the future mainnet release is 30th of September. So we've got quite a long way to go. We've got all the way over here to get to before the actual beta mainnet is released. And when that's released, then they can really start to build upon their client base, and their token gets used in use case. And probably at that point, you'll be able to stake the token, so people have incentive to buy it and hold it. And then we could imagine this really to begin to reverse and build, because the company is building, the token is in use case. More people want to own the token because there'll be more people wanting to stake the token, and so on and so on. So I keep my eye on this to see where it goes. I did have a relatively decent amount of them. I did sell them though, and I saw this coming back beneath 2 cents. I sold them all, taking a tiny bit of profit. Well, I say a tiny bit. It was I doubled my money, but yeah. Where the Satoshi value goes from here at this point right now is important, as the Bitcoin dominance is retracing. It would appear by the level of these Satoshis now, and even though these candlesticks are very, very small, what it actually means is that even though Matic is falling, which it is, Matic is falling definitely, and we can see it on the tether value here, Matic is falling. It's falling ever so slightly slower than Bitcoin is falling, which suggests not strength, but a bottoming taking place. When we look at these indicators here, all the way down, we were falling faster than Bitcoin until just recently, and we look like I'm not saying we found a bottom now, but it's very early days still. But what we see here is we see a low point here touching this area here, and then coming back down, and this is our newest low here, which is only a little bit higher. What we need to do is we make higher highs and higher lows on the RSI. But it's still very early days. Look at all these indicators are all sloping down. That's never a good sign. They're slowing down, but they're sloping down as well. So that's not a good sign. It's still got a bit further to go. But a coin for the future, I would say definitely. I would give it a target price of around about $1 in about within 3 years. By the end of the bull market. Anyway, let's get back to Bitcoin and see where we're going from here. So Bitcoin is breaking above these moving averages actually. So it's actually doing quite well. It closed the daily here, which is very good. Now the bulls are really pushing it up. If it can get up to the top of this Bollinger Band and break above it, it's got 2 areas of resistance here: 9,800, and we can probably call 10,000 obviously a very significant support. Resistance. If it gets rejected here, where we are literally right now, and come back down, we would probably find a bounce again at the top of here. If that breaks down, which it might do, then we've still got the bottom here, which is 9,000. But if we begin to touch 9,000, it would suggest big time falling, a big time retracement. And that retracement would probably, let's go to the daily, probably find us down to 8,500, and if that breaks, then we have no. Our last stand is on the on this area here, the 200 EMA. All right, another coin I'm quite interested in is Litecoin actually. So let's have a look at Litecoin now. We'll have a look on the tether pairing, and I'll tell you what, we'll have a look on. Oh, that's interesting. That is actually pretty good to see that actually. So we'll have a look at this Bitcoin pairing first. How's that? Right. Okay. Thanks for telling me. I'm not very good at this live streaming business. Quite new to all this stuff. Right. So so what we're looking at here, we're looking at Litecoin now on the daily, and we're looking at it on the Bitcoin pairing. So again, this is like many alts. A lot of the alts that we can see is that we're beginning to bottom out, and we're falling. Even though we are falling, let's have a look. We are definitely falling still. We're falling at a slower rate than Bitcoin's falling, which is good. And this is a result of the dominance chart. Bitcoin dominance is starting to retrace. It's not retracing an enormous amount, but it's retracing all the same. And it's giving the alts the ability to move ever so slightly up with their Satoshi values, because they're falling, even though they're all falling together, it's not falling as fast as Bitcoin. So they're beginning to bottom out, but the bottom hasn't taken place yet. The bottom is forming still. So we'll have a look at the tether pairing. I mean, look how bad it's actually. We're looking to perhaps retrace by 50%, I think, at this rate, with Litecoin, and I wouldn't find that a problem, because Litecoin did such huge moves, and my idea that it did such huge moves in comparison to Bitcoin. This is one of the coins that kind of led the way with Bitcoin, and I believe that the reason it did that is because it's got its halving event, which is actually taking place next month. So in a few weeks, it's coming up. It's not long away, and that normally last time that happened, it created a 400% increase in its value. But a 400% increase from up here would bring us up to close to $700 per Litecoin, which is ridiculous. So my expectation is that the halving event was priced in way back here. People knew it was going to come, and actually a 400% increase from this area would actually bring us up to perhaps our all-time high of last year. So this retracement is perfectly natural, because a lot of this is hype, anticipating for the halving event. So it was all been priced in. So this correction is normal, and doesn't surprise me at all. And when the halving event does take place, which it will do in a few weeks from now, it'll be interesting to see where it goes. I doubt we'll see a 400% increase. We might be looking to double it. And if we get back up to $100, doubling that is only going to put us up to $200, and that isn't too hard to imagine, actually. Born for this. I don't know about that, but thanks for your thanks for your comment there. I wouldn't say I was born for anything specifically. Right, so let's, considering I didn't have my actual video streaming, we'll go back and have a look at Bitcoin, see what's going on now. So we are finding ourselves in a battle now between the bulls and the bears. The range here is actually pretty big actually. I do expect to see this come back down, test this area here of 9,000 and break. And my reasoning for that is that we broke out of this wedge. We tried to get in above it, but we can't. We're at the bottom of the Bollinger Band, and we're breaking it. And we're still at the bottom of it now. This was a strong level of resistance here and support. I mean, it appears to be becoming resistance. We're underneath all the moving averages. They're all sloping down, apart from the. There's two of them that aren't exactly sloping down yet. 50-day close, which is a strong one, and the 200 EMA, which is a very, very strong one. Because we're underneath all the moving averages and they're all sloping down, it suggests a reversal in trend, at least for the short term. The long-term trend being this 200 EMA, that's leveling out now, and if that starts to bend down, then it would suggest a definite reversal in trend. Rather than a pullback, a reversal in trend. And it's that reversal in trend that will certainly scare off a lot of people that got in anywhere up here. Anywhere above 5,000, people will begin to get very afraid and sell, waiting for it to perhaps go down even lower. That's what is. It's not very likely, but that is the way the sentiment will work, and that's how this would all play out if it continues to go down, and if this 200 EMA starts to bend down. So yeah, the good thing about all this is that the Bitcoin dominance is receding a little, and it's going to give some of the alts a chance to bottom out first. And if Bitcoin can hold itself within, I would say, between 7,000 to 9,000 area, maybe even 10, but it'd have to be beneath 10,000. So anywhere between 7,500 to 10,000, we could quite easily see a pretty good alt season once that retracement has been made a bit further with the Bitcoin dominance chart. Once that's done, then yeah, we'll be looking for some good moves with the alts. At the moment, the alts are all looking to make bottoms. Some of them look like they have made bottoms, but those bottoms are really being pushed to the limit. Hackers, eh? Exit scams coming to sell or withdraw to wallets quickly. Where do we get this information from then? Regulations can take place. They can regulate all they like. I know they're looking to do that in the UK. Things do need regulating, but you can't regulate exchanges. You can't stop people exchanging cryptocurrency. You could put regulation on the way it's traded. So you could stop people doing 10x's, 5x's. You could limit it to perhaps just a 2x. That would be fine, because it's an extremely volatile market. But exchanges would be difficult and actually very unfair to regulate. So I would be surprised to see that happening. Because if you start to do that, then you'd have to regulate other things, such as, well, anything. I could tomorrow or today, I could walk down my high street. I could go to a jeweler's. I could buy raw gold if I wanted to, whether it's on paper or in a big fat nugget, and I can hold that anytime I like and take it back to the jewelers in 5-10 years and sell it back to him for more, because obviously the price would be either going up or going down. So if you're going to regulate cryptocurrency on exchanges, then you'd have to regulate all kinds of trading. Well, no, I wouldn't even call it trading, exchanging. Anyway, it sounds as though my daughter has woken up from her nap, so my day off has now been cancelled. Thanks for tuning in, guys. I really appreciate that, and hopefully I can do another one of these tonight for you once we've had some more price action. Anyway, you take it